Welcome back to Plan Today, Own Tomorrow. I should say Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, the Tennessee Valley, Bobby, is what we should say, because we are serving so many people here in the southern states of Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, having a lot of fun here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and up in Knoxville, Tennessee, with our brand new firm and office running up there. My name is Gary Thurman. I'm your host, and I'm the CEO of Guardian Investment Advisors, and I'm in here today with my good friend Bobby Futch, my fiduciary advisor here in Chattanooga. Bobby, what is going on with you, buddy?
Man, I'm loving this cool weather.
Oh,
I got out early this morning. I got out of the car about 6 o'clock this morning. Man, it was beautiful.
It's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, I drove. Didn't have the windows down the whole time because it got a little bit chilly. But for the first half of the drive, man, I was enjoying it. We're busy here at the office, which is great. I just love this time of year.
Everything's going good. We had a pumpkin giveaway the other day, and man, how much fun was that? I mean,
that was great.
It was fun for our clients, but it was fun for the kids. Had Greg's Sandwich Shop out here.
That's the first time I've had that one of Greg's sandwiches.
They're
and
good.
It was awesome.
They're good.
Yeah, and it was cool. We got to give back a little bit. So we did a food drive for a local charity, and
198 pounds of food.
That rocks.
Yeah,
man.
Rhonda took it up yesterday. 198 pounds of food. So always love helping out the Chattanooga area food bank. And then, like I said, we gave out some beautiful pumpkins. Barn Nursery supplied us with those. So what a great time we had last Friday here at the office. Bobby, an interesting show we put together today, because I think retirement planning, we were just talking about a client that we got. It's not all about the numbers. There's so many other things that go into retirement planning, and I do think the emotional side of retirement planning is big. We've seen it more here, I guess, over the last 5 years, where it's gotten a little. It's an emotional time in your life.
Yeah, for a lot of different reasons. You're exactly right. You know, things change for you, and I think part of that has to do with, kind of the news cycle now. There's just so much in the news making people feel uncertain, but it's always been like that, Gary. It's been the number one fear in America for decades, right? When it overtook, literally dying as somebody's number one fear.
And now it's income.
Now it's income. Making sure you don't outlive your money.
It's interesting. I always think about my grandfather, because he worked for the same company for 35, 40 years. I mean, he retired. He got his gold watch, and he had a little thing called a pension.
Yep.
And with that pension went along his Social Security. And I was young when he passed away, but I mean, he was doing okay. Yeah. He wasn't stressed about running out of money.
That's what a lot of people don't understand, is when Social Security was put together, it was meant to supplement pensions.
Yeah.
Because almost everyone had a pension back in the day. And now if you're one of the few people that
Lucky.
has a pension, count your blessings, because they're going away more and more every day. And it's not often that when we sit down with somebody to plan for their retirement, they have that pension, that guaranteed income. So.
And that's nice to have. I mean, so you don't, but like, again, now the 401ks started out, all these folks that work for these corporations, and now they're they're investing into the market. They really don't know what they're doing. And now it's up to you as that person to say, hey, what do I do with this retirement plan? My buddy Chance Robinson says something all the time, and it sticks with me. Income is the outcome. Income is the outcome. So, Bobby, what has caused income to become the number one fear in America?
People are living longer, right? It's great. Health. People are getting generally healthier. Medical care has gotten a lot better here recently, but it's really a two-edged sword, right? I'm glad that people are living longer.
Me too.
But we're planning all the time now for people to live to 90, 95 years old.
Yeah.
And we have clients that are hitting those numbers.
No, we do. Sure.
Right? So it's good to plan for that long, because it may very well happen to you. It just wasn't the case years and years ago.
No, and I tell this story all the time about, and this has been a while now, since that a gentleman walked in. He came to one of our events, Bobby, and he came to the office and he slid his paperwork across the table to me, kind of in a little bit of a little attitude, right? He goes, Mr. Thurman, I don't know why I need your firm, but I mean, I've got $1 million in my 401k, and I said, actually, you don't. Because it's not what you actually have, it's what you get to keep.
That's right.
And this gentleman wasn't thinking about, he had to pay his favorite uncle, Bobby. Taxes are big.
Yeah, taxes are absolutely vital. And with the One Big Beautiful Bill Act that passed, we've got a great window that's been extended to plan for taxes now, because I think they have to go up in the future, right? We're $37 trillion of debt in this country, and it's growing every year. So if you're going to have to pay those taxes at some point, Gary.
At some point.
Why not kind of prepay them while they're on sale? Because if you wait later on down the road, 20, 30 years from now, when you need the money the most, who knows what you're going to owe Uncle Sam? So part of an income plan has to be taxes.
Yeah,
It absolutely
has to be. And now you're talking about the big beautiful bill. We know we got these low tax rates through the end of 2028. So counting this year, we got about a 4-year window, give or take, that we might start doing some Roth conversions. Why is that something everybody should be thinking about?
Everybody should be thinking about Roth conversions for a couple of reasons. One, we just talked about how taxes are going to go up.
Right.
Right. It just makes sense. If you got a favorite pair of blue jeans you like, right, and the store puts them on sale, you may not need that new pair of blue jeans now, but you're going to use them in the future.
Right.
Go
Go
buy
get
them
'em.
when they're on sale.
Go get them.
That's why we all, get those sales papers every Sunday in the mail and the newspaper, right, for groceries. I don't know that people coupon as much anymore.
I don't
but
know,
it used
man.
To be
They
a
might,
huge
yeah.
thing, right? So the point is if you're going to have to buy something, if you're going to have to pay taxes, do it when rates are low, third lowest income tax brackets we've ever been in this country right now, and you know what the number is. It's really difficult to plan if some of the variables are unknown in the future. And I don't know what income taxes are going to be in 5 years.
We have no idea. We have no idea. So we're talking about different ways to use your money, because you have different sources of money. Maybe you just have one large 401k, but maybe you have multiple different accounts, and we can wrap those things together. And it's really about educating folks on how to use the money, Bobby. Are you correct? I mean, we don't just do one thing one way.
That's right. Just as vital for retirement planning is accumulating his assets. It's great that the client you talked about earlier had $1 million in his 401k.
Yeah, congratulations.
But you can't spend a 401k statement.
Right. Yeah.
Right. You've got to come up with a plan to get that money out in a thoughtful manner to make sure it lasts as long as you can. And there's a lot of different tools we can use for income planning in the future.
Right.
So again, just having an investment plan may not deal with the biggest fear for most people is making sure you have a sustained income.
We were up at in Maryville, Tennessee, doing an event the other night, Bobby, and a gentleman pulled me to the side because the event was all about income planning, and he pulled me to the side. And he said a couple things. He goes, first of all, one thing I like about you guys, and I just met you, one thing I like about you guys is that you're not one of these big box firms. That's what I've dealt with my whole life, and all they talk about is growth, growth, growth. They don't talk about planning like you did in this event tonight. And he goes, and it just seems like to me, you're more real. Like you guys are actually going to sit down with us, take the time, and work with what we have, and put this plan together. And he loved our bucket system.
Yeah, so many advisors just talk about, hey, let me manage your assets. We're going to get this X growth rate,
and you need that.
That's important.
You need that,
right? That's important, but it's only one half of the puzzle.
That's right.
And if you're going to put a retirement plan together, you have to think about how you're going to spend that. And our bucket system, to your point, does that in a really good way that I think a lot of people can understand. And the income bucket is the green bucket.
Right.
We talked about how pensions are going away
right.
for a lot of people. You've got to create your own pension.
That's right. That's right.
Right. Using those assets to create a guaranteed income stream in retirement is what that bucket's about. And that's the bucket that helps people sleep well at night. It lets them know that their budgetary needs are going to be met. And it's got to take into account taxes and inflation.
And something else, I want to talk about this because I don't think a lot of other advisors are talking about this. Optimizing Social Security benefits. I think that's a big part of this income plan.
Absolutely huge, because we all know that Social Security is going to be a very large part of our income in retirement.
Right, absolutely.
There's been a lot of talk about Social Security is going away, it's underfunded.
Right.
It is underfunded, right? I don't want to just dismiss that. But I don't think Social Security is going to go away.
I don't either. And you just thought about taxes going up in the future.
That's right.
We might need more taxes to pay, keep the Social Security benefit working.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But you made a good point. You said the word, and I love to point this out whenever we talk about this. You pointed out you used the word optimize.
Optimize.
Social Security, not maximize.
All right.
Optimize, because people get hung up all the time on I got to wait till 70 to take my Social Security so I get the biggest number. That's true. You will get the biggest number if you wait until 70. But if you retire at 65, you got to wait 5 years to start getting that income check in retirement. Where's your money going to come from in 5 years?
From your retirement accounts.
From your retirement accounts.
Yeah.
And so you're draining your retirement accounts, which I promise over the long term is going to be more valuable than a simple 8% roll-up of Social Security.
Yeah.
Spend Uncle Sam's money.
Yeah.
As long as you're not working.
Right.
And there's some other things.
There's a lot of stuff to think about.
But most of the times it makes sense. Spend Uncle Sam's money and leave yours in the bank.
And another thing, we're talking about Roth conversion, Social Security right now. With the big beautiful bill, now an individual has a $6,000 deduction, and a couple has a $12,000 deduction based on income limits.
Right.
But why not take advantage of that and do Roth conversions with that money?
Yeah, that's huge. right?
I think
Because
it's
it
big.
means that was kind of how the Trump administration delivered on their promise to remove taxes from Social Security.
Right. Yeah.
It didn't really do that, but that extra benefit I think is even better.
I do too, because you
Because-
can do Roth conversions with it now.
It's a deduction against all income.
And you get your standard deduction on top of that.
That's right.
I mean, so a couple could be well over $30,000 in standard deductions.
And so if you've
It's
got
crazy.
pre-tax money and you're not paying taxes in retirement, you may be missing the boat. Let's try to use some of that free money Uncle Sam gives you to get some tax-free income in the future via Roth conversions.
Folks, I want you to listen to what Bobby just said, because with this new deduction you're getting with the big, beautiful bill, plus your standard deduction, I mean, you could have thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that we could take advantage of and roll your taxable money, your 401ks, your 403bs, your IRAs, over to Roth. And keep in mind, this is not like purchasing a Roth. We can do as much as you guys want. We'd like to probably keep you in the same tax bracket, but that's a conversation you need to have. Come in, sit down with Tim, Bobby, or Brogan. Let's put a plan together for you where you have an income for the rest of your life. And hey, look, are you ready to retire? Do you know if you're ready to retire? Go to GIAquiz.com, GIAquiz.com. Take the test, then come in and see us, and let's have a conversation, and let's put your income plan together. Now, when we come back, it's not all about income. There's a lot of things that go into retirement, and me and Bobby are going to talk more about that when we come back. Stay tuned. In the U.S., it takes an average of 12.5 months for families to legally resolve all financial matters after someone passes away. As a financial advisor, I realize how delicate it can be talking about end of life and financial matters. But that is why I'm here, to help make that hard conversation about taking care of your loved ones easier to have. What if your beneficiaries need some funds sooner than 12 months to cover medical expenses, funeral costs, or monthly bills? That's where Guardian Investment Advisors has you covered. There is a financial solution where we would place a portion of your assets you're already planning on leaving to your loved ones into a guaranteed issue life insurance policy. Within 48 hours, these funds can be provided to your family with confirmation from the funeral home. I'm Gary Thurman, CEO of Guardian Investment Advisors. We are your neighbors right here in the Tennessee Valley. Call us today. Your peace of mind starts with a simple conversation. Welcome back to Plan Today on Tomorrow. My name is Gary Thurman, CEO of Guardian Investment Advisors, also your host of our great show. And I'm in here with my buddy Bobby Futch today, and I love this conversation we're having. If you didn't catch the first segment, we're talking about the emotional side of retirement planning, and we really hit on income planning in that first segment. If you didn't catch it, give us a call. We can send you the show right out, or you can go to our website and catch it next week. If you missed that first segment, because I thought it was really good. I want to throw out the quiz again, GIAquiz.com, GIAquiz.com. 35 questions. Go see if you're actually ready to retire, GIAquiz.com. Bobby, we really hit on income, and when it comes to retirement, adjusting your income or adjusting the flow of money coming in is not the only thing we have to deal with. There's a lot of things going on when you come to retirement planning, but I've been doing this almost 3 decades, which is kind of, yes, I know you guys tell me I'm old all the time.
Hair,
it's fine.
More hair when you start.
I'm old. But people, can kind of go into if you want to call it a retirement identity crisis. I've been a doctor for 30 years. I've been an attorney for 30 years. I've worked at Coca-Cola for 30 years. Whatever the case may be, then all of a sudden, whoop, that's gone. Yeah. That's an emotional, mental game that you're going to have to overcome.
And it's almost always coupled with, what we talked about in the first segment
income.
Is, I'm worried about my income, and now you kind of have this identity crisis in retirement. It's very real. And I won't say it affects everybody, but there are plenty of people that we work with all the time that I'm ready to hang it up. I'm done. I'm getting ready to retire. I'm out of here. And then we meet with them in 6 months. Or
they're bored.
And they go, man, what am I doing?
Yeah, I'm so bored.
Right? You can only play so much golf.
Yeah.
Maybe not for you, Gary, but we do it all the time. You can only sit on the couch for so long.
Right.
You can only go to the beach for so long. You got to have a purpose in retirement. And it's easy to, when you think about retirement, when you start thinking about the money aspect, you also need to think about that big lifestyle change. How is that going to look for you?
Yeah.
And it looks different for everybody.
Oh, sure.
It can be sit on the couch. It's not for everyone. Most people don't do it. I don't suggest you do that.
No,
there are a lot of health
we can talk
issues
about that
with
in a minute. Yep.
too. But man, you got to find something to do, whether that's, volunteering at your favorite charity, right? If you were supporting them monetarily throughout your working career,
Yeah.
and you got time now, why don't you go volunteer with them? How cool
Absolutely.
would that be?
Yeah.
Part-time jobs.
Yeah,
We have people
that's
do that all the
huge.
time.
Right.
If they enjoy gardening,
Yeah.
go get a seasonal job at the barn nursery.
Yeah, there you
That
go.
brought all those good
Absolutely.
pumpkins out to us.
Got a client that does that, babe.
If you like golf, you don't play it all the time. We've got a client that's a starter at a golf course.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to be a starter. at
No,
a
he just
golf
wants to
course.
be.
He just wants
It's fun.
to. Give him something to do, and it's also that social aspect too.
I was going to bring that up because
Mm-hmm.
I do think it's a big part. I don't think people understand if you become that couch potato that you just mentioned a few
Mm-hmm.
minutes ago. Bobby, a 65-year-old male, becomes a couch potato, a healthy 65-year-old male. His life expectancy is 7.5 years.
That's insane.
So you're going to die at 72 and a half because you want to sit on the couch and be bored? I mean, come on, man.
and you've worked for 30, 35 years
Yeah.
to have 7.5 years in retirement. Man, don't do that to yourself.
But why? Why does that happen? I mean, mentally,
Yep.
you start going downhill because your brain's not working. Your brain's like any other muscle in your body. If you exercise your brain, you're going to stay healthier. And we talked about longevity risk earlier in the show. I mean, you want to take this health thing pretty serious as well, because if your health declines quickly, it's not only bad for you, it's bad for your whole family.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to stay on track with this. I think the mental part of it, it's almost like going into retirement, Bobby, is the next chapter in your life, so to speak. So maybe you revamp your choices. Maybe you look at some different ideas. Maybe you start that business you always wanted to start. There's all kinds of things we can look at.
Yeah, we have a couple of clients that have started, second careers, if you will. It's not as stressful as your traditional 9-to-5 job. Maybe it's something you've been passionate for so long. But we've got a client here that enjoyed redoing furniture in her garage.
That's right.
Yeah, that's just something she did. A couple pieces every year. They'd go to thrift stores or garage sales, find something that's a little.
Did she call
beat
herself
up.
like a junker or something like
a
that?
junker. That's what she called herself. Well, she had the time on her hands, and she still enjoyed doing it. She turned it into a business.
Yeah.
And last time we met with her, she's like, "Bobby, this is going too well. Like, I need to slow down. I'm working harder now.
Yeah.
Selling my furniture online than I was at my 9-to-5 job. But how cool is that she had that opportunity, she had the drive
Yeah.
to have a second career, if
Yeah.
you will. And the cool thing about it is because she planned well for retirement, set herself up, well, she can cut back.
Oh, yeah. Whenever she wants.
If she wants to do one
Yeah.
piece of furniture a month,
Yeah.
great.
I
She doesn't
just
need
think
the
it's
income.
no, she don't need it. But I keep going back to this. When you retire, I really am serious about this. How your body just will start to shut down. Your body needs work. Your body needs income, but your body also needs exercise, and it needs to be flowing to keep things going. Because if you want to work that second job, how good is that for you? Physically, mentally, emotionally, like there's so many great things that go into having a part-time job or a hobby at least. Volunteering, at the Chattanooga Area Food Bank or whatever the case may be. Get out there and do something, folks, because we want you to continue going. Now, Bobby, we're talking about income planning. We talked about this emotional, and I know I really didn't have this in the notes, but my brain started working. Longevity risk, we got to worry about income, but you better worry a little bit about getting sick down the road because we're now living longer.
Yeah.
That's a big part of retirement planning.
And that's part of, the two-edged sword we talked about, better medical care nowadays. You can live longer sick,
Mm-hmm.
right? And again, I'm glad that people are living longer and medicine's gotten better, but you really need to make sure that you've got a bucket and an income plan for, God forbid, if you get sick and need care. Because the numbers are staggering on what it costs to have long-term care.
Yeah.
And that's in a facility, that's having somebody part-time come into your house.
It's all expensive.
It's all expensive.
I mean, average prices in home care is about $2,500 a month in Tennessee. Assisted living about $4,500, and God forbid, Alzheimer's. Full skill care about $9,000 a month. But just go back to that $2,500 a month.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
And what a lot of people don't think is just because you are having that care, well, we'll get the money out of our budget from somewhere else. Well, maybe your spouse isn't sick or you're still living at home. You still got all the other bills to pay,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You still got to keep the lights on. You still got to keep the fuel in the car, all those things. So you need to make sure you have a plan. God forbid those things happen. And traditional long-term care insurance, man, it's kind of a dog
Yeah,
nowadays.
it really is.
Right? If you can get it now, it's expensive. It's usually reimbursement care coverage, right? You got to pay the bill and get money back.
Got to get approved.
Got to get approved. So insurance companies have really gotten sharp and stepped up to help fill this space. You can get a fixed indexed annuity now that has provisions to cover these things if you need it, right?
If you need it, keyword.
If you have a fixed indexed annuity as like a cornerstone of your income plan, which is a great solution to guarantee income, a lot of times you can say, let me add this long-term care benefit to it. And so we have companies that we can offer clients now that if you get sick, you failed 2 out of the 6 activities of daily living, they'll just double your income, Gary, for up to 5 years.
That's incredible.
How awesome is that?
Yeah, I've got one client using that right now. But then we have other companies that do what we call more asset-based long-term care, where we can take some boring money. Let's say you got a lot of money just sitting in the bank, Bobby, and that's your money for long-term care. We can probably take half of that, put it into a benefit, and get you triple the amount of coverage you need for long-term care. So let's say you take $100,000. If everything goes well, you'll have $300,000 worth of long-term care coverage if you need it, and it's going to grow. And that's insane.
If you don't need it, it goes to your beneficiary.
That's right.
The insurance company doesn't keep it.
So long-term care insurance, they keep the money, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so you get a trophy up on the wall, a plaque on their wall. Like,
if you pass away and don't use it, I always never use it. The insurance company hangs a picture of you in their lobby. Hey, thanks, Gary.
Gary Thurman supported our 401k plan for 40 years. I mean, there's just a lot of different things to look at, folks, when it comes to the emotional side. And I think Bobby and I've hit on some really key things here. Planning. The earlier you start, the better. But when you're starting to do this planning, I think you got to look at 2 things. You got to look at income, and you got to look at life's choices. What are you going to do? What do you need the income for? Are you going to continue to work? Are you going to back off, work part-time? Are you just going to volunteer? You got to have an income plan. You got to have a plan of action when you walk into retirement. Don't just walk into retirement and go, hey, let's see what happens next. We want you to live every single day like a Saturday in retirement. We want you to have a blast in retirement. And something else I want to talk about, Bobby, really quick. There's a difference in your go-go years and your slow-go years.
Yeah,
big time.
That's right. And so I love the way you talk about this. You have the go-go years when you first retire. You know, this is when you're young, you're healthy, you can travel, you can go do those trips you want to do. Then you get into your slow-go years. You know, you starting to get a little bit older.
Slow down a little bit.
Maybe your health is starting to kind of turn over the crest, right? So you're not able to keep up with all those things. So you have those slow-go years. And then I hope we all get to the point where we're 95 years old.
That's right.
And
no-go.
They're called the no-go years. But what that means is you need to plan for the differences in income that those things provide.
Absolutely.
So oftentimes we're going to front load. You're going to want more income in the beginning because you're going on trips, you're spoiling the grandkids, all that sort of thing, and it will taper off. But don't get so hung up in that because your no-go years can be really expensive too, and that's why we just touched on long-term care.
You got to have it. You got to be ready for it because when you hit those slow-go years, that's when that long-term care can really kick into play. Lifestyle choices is what it's all about when it comes to retirement planning. Have an income plan. Have a long-term care plan. Have a legacy plan. Go to GIAquiz.com. GIAquiz.com. 35 questions. Take the test. I think it might wake you up a little bit. Go, hey, I need to come in and see Bobby, Brogan, and Tim. Have a conversation with these guys. Let's put a plan together for you. Again, I'm going to use that word, plan. Let's put a plan together for you. Let's not just wing retirement. Let's make sure we get out there and we have a wonderful time in retirement. In the go-go years, in the slow-go years, and in the no-go years. Again, GIAquiz.com. When we come back, this is going to be kind of fun because we're going to talk about couples and how they work together when it comes to retirement planning. We'll be right back.
You might not be able to retire if you haven't thought about future inflation and future taxes. When you're going through your retirement plan, are you thinking about inflation? Does your current plan have inflation built into it? The national average is about 3%. Of course, it's been really, really high the last few years, but it has come back down. But you've got to build inflation into your retirement plan because we don't want to run out of money. Another thing I stress to my clients all the time is we got to think about future taxes. Our government has one source of income, and that is taxes. And I promise you, with $34 trillion in debt, $2 more trillion being added this year in 2024, the interest only on our national debt is $1 trillion. Folks, taxes are going to go up. You got a window of opportunity in 2024 and 2025 while taxes are still on sale. let's start looking at maybe taking some of your taxable money to tax-free money. This is all part of the Wealth Guard planning process. We'll do this for you when we're creating an income plan. You got to think about inflation and you got to think about taxes. Give us a call today and come in and see myself and my team, and let's put this plan together for you.
Welcome back to Plan the Day on Tomorrow. My name is Gary Thurman. I'm your host and CEO of Guardian Investment Advisors. In here today with my good friend Bobby Futch, and we're talking about all kinds of different things with retirement planning, but we're really hitting the emotional side. And we've already talked about a lot of things in 2 segments. We've covered income planning. We've covered health care planning. We talked a lot about tax planning. Then we really got into the emotional side of that withdrawal you might have when you stop work. You know, what's your identity going to be in retirement planning? What are you going to do with your time? Are you going to travel the world? Are you going to play a lot of golf? Are you just going to hang out with the grandkids? You know, everybody is different. But if you don't have a plan for all of those things, then retirement might not be that journey you've been looking forward to. Retirement might end up being a struggle or a stressful thing. We don't want that to happen to you. We want to make sure you retire, and like I say all the time, live every day like a Saturday and just have fun. That's what this is all about. Bobby, I'm going to enjoy this conversation because you and I have ran a lot of appointments together. I know you and Tim and Brogan have ran a lot of appointments together, and it's always so interesting to me when first of all, I think it's extremely important when we start doing planning that both spouses are in that room. I do think that's a vital thing.
Yeah, I completely agree with it. And it's not often we meet with just
Right.
one of the spouses in our first meeting. We call them our Discover meetings. But we always say, hey, listen, if we're going to work together, we want to make sure your spouse is involved. So if it's okay, we invite them
Please.
to the second
Please.
meeting, right? Because it's really important
It's you,
for a bunch of different reasons.
but and most of the time, the couples are not on the same page. You know, most of the time, the man is probably going to be a little more aggressive. The lady's going to be a little more conservative. She's worried about running out of money. She's worried about getting sick. She's worried about taking care of husband if he gets sick. I mean, but now sometimes that's totally opposite.
Right.
Sometimes we got a man that's more conservative than a female that's more. But you don't have to think alike. But we have to base our plan around both needs.
Yeah, we really need a plan that gets, them on the same page. And that's, I mean, it could be so many different things. You talked about risk levels and aggressiveness. That's one thing. What do they want to do in retirement? There's so many different things that couples can disagree on, and that's okay. As a couple,
absolutely.
you don't have to agree on everything.
Right.
I think it's kind of healthy that you have differing
Try.
opinions. You try, have a conversation about these things and figure out, what is your combined goal? What does your combined retirement look like? Because if you get your way and your spouse is stressed out in retirement,
Not going to be fun.
this is not going to be fun, and it's not going to last very long.
It's not going to be fun.
So you need to make sure that you have combined goals and come up with a plan that gets to those goals so both of you can be happy in retirement.
Something I love doing, with an exercise or something I like to suggest, and this is something that Rhonda and I do on a weekly basis, is we call it, retirement planning date night or whatever you want to title this. But, at some point throughout the week, we sit down, we have a conversation, Bobby, about, bills and money coming in, money going out, goals. I mean, we do this every week. And then at the end of the year, Rhonda and I sneak away for a few days and we just put our phones away. And we really sit down, okay, here's 2026. What's the top 3 things we want to accomplish? Okay, how are we going to get there? But we do it as a team. And do it as what I call a power team. This is our power hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
And look, over the last almost 15 years that we've been married now, there's been a lot of different things that I want to do this. And she's like, well, why? Why do you want to? So we've disagreed on things, but that's why you have to do it together.
Yeah, that's right. And, the differing opinions are great, because I'm sure some of those things, when Rhonda said, well, Gary, why do you want to do that? You talked about it one morning, you go, oh, okay. That doesn't make as much sense as I initially thought it did.
Correct.
Right? And I'm
Yeah.
sure it works the other way too.
Right.
But all too often, this is a huge red flag for me, is we see that one spouse does all the financial work in the
Yeah.
family, right? And we saw this with a client of ours last year, earlier this year.
Mhm.
Her husband did everything.
Everything.
And she didn't have a clue.
Right.
and unfortunately, he got sick and passed away
Quickly.
very quickly, and that was not on her top of mind.
Right. No.
Obviously, right? She was trying to take care of her husband. She wasn't going to talk to him about, where are our investments at? Where does our income come from? What bills are we paying?
Yeah.
And so, man, she's in a much better spot now. But it took us a while to get her there.
Yeah.
Right? We had to go back and look through income tax returns. We had to go through. Matter of fact, she just last week, I don't know if you were here, came in with a pile of shred. Right?
Oh, wow.
Because her husband kept everything.
Oh,
And it's
okay.
taken her years.
Yeah.
It'd
Not
be
years, but yeah.
a year to go through
Yeah.
all that stuff. And we probably had a trash bag full of old stuff.
Stuff shared for her.
But the point is, she didn't know about that, so she had to go through all that stuff. Not only is she grieving the loss of her spouse, she has the uncertainty of not knowing where her money's coming from and where the bills are going to be paid from, even what to pay.
Right.
And then she had all those things to go through. So it's important, even if you're not going to be kind of co-managers of your family's financial situation. To your point, like you meet with Rhonda regularly, man, both of you have to know what's going on, at least from a basic level.
Right. Yeah, I understand. So let's go back to this real quick. And I know we talk about income on the show a lot, and we've already talked about it a lot today. But again, income is the outcome. But I'm going back to married couples now, because that's our topic right now. How do you work together as a married couple in retirement planning? And income, again, is going to be the most important part of that. Bobby, how awesome is it? Let's say the guy's the breadwinner of the family, and let's say he's got a $2 million 401k, and let's say she took care of the kids, maybe she had to take care of mom and dad, and let's say she's got $500,000 in a 401k. Let's just throw those numbers out there. So his 401k/IRA is much larger than hers. So the chances are, when we do our bucket system, we're going to take some of those funds from his account, put them into that green bucket of money, and we're going to turn an income stream on. Now, it's his IRA, but how cool is it that we can set up a joint income that pays both of them for the rest of their life?
Yeah, that's
I
incredible.
think it's huge.
And we almost always turn on joint incomes because you don't know which one's going to pass away first. Of course, there are the numbers. It says, the man's usually going to pass away first.
Oh, we're meaner.
Yeah, we're
We're all
meaner,
mean,
right? Yeah. But you're right. It's important because you're not planning for just one person. You're going to lose a Social Security when somebody passes away,
Right.
so that money's gone already. And then you've got this terrible thing called the widow's
Widow
tax.
tax.
And so whatever partner is left after the passing of the first, you're going to change the way you file your federal income tax
You're not going to have a
return,
choice.
right? You're going to go from the best tax rate, married filing jointly, to single.
Yeah,
Right?
the worst.
The worst.
Yeah.
And so you're going to be paying more in income taxes probably than you were when you were joint. So it's really important to preserve as much of that income as you can because there are going to be things to pay for.
So this spouse, the spouse that was left behind, could be making less money and paying more taxes.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Wow.
You can actually be making less. You get less coming into your bank account every month. And then when Uncle Sam comes knocking on April 15th, you may owe him more, which is just insane. So that's one reason why you want to make sure you plan for a joint income because some things are going away.
Yeah.
So you need to do all you can to make sure that income is steady.
Now, how big is this? I want to go back to something you brought up earlier. Let's say we set up one of these properly structured fixed index annuities with a joint income. Let's say the income's $25,000 a year, and I'm just throwing it out there jointly. If hubby passes away first, the chances of mama getting sick are greater.
Mm-hmm.
Now she can have that impairment rider you talked about. So the $25,000 for her turns into $50,000 for long-term care if she needs it.
Yeah, that's incredible. And that's often what we see most of the time with these joint incomes. The first spouse gets sick, the well spouse cares for them.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is hard.
It's hard work, and that's what's going to happen. Then the first spouse passes away. Now the second one doesn't have somebody to care for them.
That's right.
So to your point, who needs the long-term care money more? Doesn't always work out this way, but it's usually the surviving
spouse, most likely.
And what a great safety net, peace of mind is it to know that you've got that money there. God forbid you need it as a surviving spouse.
And kind of, I'm staying with the couples thing, the married couples thing. Can we jump back into Social Security for a minute, Bobby? Because we talked about optimizing your Social Security benefit, and he never cares if I use this example. My good buddy Joe up in Cincinnati, he's an advisor just like us. Joe's a diabetic, right? Mm-hmm. And so chances are he is going to predecease Angela, and he is the breadwinner of the family. So when he talks about Social Security planning, he's like, I'm waiting as long as I can so she gets the higher payout.
Yeah.
Makes total sense in that situation.
Yeah, he's
so,
both maximizing and optimizing by doing the same
because
thing.
he's looking at his health. He's looking at the big picture. I'm the breadwinner. My Social Security is going to be higher. So I need to wait as long as I can because most likely I'm going to predecease her. That's how you optimize Social Security
That's right.
benefits.
Yeah, and I want to point this out. Even if you are a non-working spouse, right, cared for the home and kids, and
Right.
maybe you got a small Social Security benefit. Some people don't know that as a married couple, you're entitled to half of the larger amount.
That's
we
right.
ran into this just yesterday with a
Yep.
client.
Yep.
So you wouldn't Angela wouldn't take on her benefit. She's going to
No.
take half of Joe's.
Take half of Joe's. But then when Joe passes, she gets his, right?
That's right.
I mean, guys, listen, income planning, Social Security planning, tax planning, healthcare planning. It's what we do here at Guardian Investment Advisors, and we want to help you do that as well. It's a free consultation. All you have to do is come in and have a conversation with us. Let's see if we can put a plan together for you with all these different things that Bobby and I have been talking about today. Income planning, we think, is the most important thing. We think income is the outcome. You got to make sure you never outlive your money. And then, God forbid, if you or your spouse gets sick, we'd like to try to help you have some coverage there as well to take care of those expenses. And talking about important, let's optimize your Social Security benefit. I just think that's such a vital part to your retirement planning. Don't do what your uncle did. Don't do what your coworker did. Come in and let us optimize your Social Security benefit to benefit you and your family the most. Are you actually ready to retire? GIAquiz.com. GIAquiz.com. Go take that 35-question quiz. Then come in and have a conversation with Tim, Bobby, Brogan. Let's make sure we get your retirement plan set up so that every day's a Saturday. And when we come back, we're going to finish out with this: finding purpose and joy in retirement. This is going to be a lot of fun. Stay tuned. Too many people enter retirement without a plan or a tax strategy, and it costs them. Every dollar you save from taxes is a dollar that can be put to work to help secure your retirement. At Guardian Investment Advisors, we have the experience and the expertise to create a customized financial strategy that includes smart tax planning. It's not about quick fixes or magic formulas. It's about building a comprehensive, tax-efficient plan. We're offering a no-cost portfolio and tax strategy review to get you started. Schedule an appointment with us today. You'll be glad you did. Welcome back to Plan the Day on Tomorrow. My name is Gary Thurman, your host and CEO of Guardian Investment Advisors. In here with my good friend and fiduciary advisor, Bobby Futch, today. And Bobby, man, let's do a quick recap. We've had a lot of fun today. We talked about income planning, healthcare planning, tax planning. What else did we talk about? Medicare planning, Social Security planning.
It's all vital, right? You have to talk about all those things when you talk about retirement.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we love to do. And I'm going to throw this out there. I just said it at the end of the third segment there. We want to help you folks, and it's a free consultation. All you have to do is come in and see us. But I would invite you first to take our quiz, our retirement reality quiz, GIAquiz.com, GIAquiz.com. Take that 35-question quiz and then come in and see the guys, and let's have a conversation about your retirement and getting you set up. You know, we not to put fear factor in anybody today, Bobby, but we've talked about fears, the adjustments of retirement planning, the conversations. But what about the opportunities? You know, what is an opportunity that comes for folks when it comes to retirement planning?
And that's what's really all about, is this opportunity. And the transition can be scary, right? But if you plan for it, I mean, your retirement can be just the most awesome time of your life. I don't care how much you liked raising kids. I don't care how much you liked your career. Those are all awesome things, don't get me wrong. But, man, you got 25, 30 years to kind of do what you want, you know, build a legacy for yourself, build a legacy for your family. And if you have a plan together for retirement, it could be the most awesome part of your life.
Yeah.
Most fulfilling.
I mean, you know, it's is it the third quarter or is it the fourth quarter? I think this is more the third quarter.
Yep,
You know,
agreed.
you've lived your halftime. You lived at halftime. You're making some adjustments at halftime, just like a football team would do. You're making some adjustments. Now you're coming out in the third quarter. You're coming out of the third quarter and you're swinging. You're going for a touchdown every single time in that red zone. That's what it's all about, retirement planning. But how big is that when it comes to finding that purpose? Like, again, we talked about this earlier in the show. It's easy just to get bored.
Yeah.
And that's going to deteriorate your mental game, your physical game. You got to stay on top of your game.
It's vital. And that looks different for everybody. some people are never going to retire. They find fulfillment in their career
Yeah.
and they enjoy it, so they just keep working. Others, like we talked about, volunteer. Others help raise grandkids, great grandkids. You got to find a purpose.
Yeah.
Everybody in life has to have a purpose. I feel like
Yeah,
otherwise
I
it's just
agree.
kind of a sailboat with no wind.
Right, yeah.
You got to find what you're passionate about, because that's what really is going to make your retirement the most fulfilling.
It is.
Right, getting to retirement and then just kind of twiddling your thumbs. I don't think anybody wants to do that.
But how many people come in here? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Bob. How many people come in here and they've got a large 401k and they say, I've got a plan, Bobby. I've got a plan for retirement. It's sitting right here. It's called a 401k, and I've got $1.5 million in there.
Yeah, it's not a plan. Right?
It's a vehicle.
A vehicle, and we talked about, the financial side of retirement planning is certainly important. Turning that asset, that vehicle you used, into reliable income. That's only half the plan.
Yeah.
The other half of the plan is, what is retirement going to look like for you? What is that vehicle going to allow you to do in retirement? And a lot of people and a lot of firms often overlook that. It's, hey, I can get you X amount of income, come back in a year and we'll check in with. You got to think about what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
because you can't just flounder in retirement.
No. And you can't go just by the 4% rule anymore.
No.
I mean, that's when bonds are paying double-digit returns, correct?
Yeah, the 4% rule is dated, right?
Way dated.
We talk about this all the time. Bonds are kind of like traditional long-term care insurance. They're
Yeah,
just a
yeah.
dog right now.
Yeah.
So if you've got a portfolio of traditional bonds, give us a call. I'd like to talk to you about that, because interest rates are extremely low, right? So you're not getting any yield on traditional fixed income now. And we think interest rates, they came down last quarter. We may cut rates one more time this
Maybe.
year. But long term, they've got to go back up. So not
would
only
think
do
so.
you have, excuse my word, crappy yields,
Yeah.
but those are going to lose value,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so if one half of the 4% rule isn't working, it's more like the 2.5% rule now.
I think the last study we saw was 2.1%.
2.1.
So you got $1 million and you're going to live on what?
Was that 21 grand? Woohoo! Right? And that's the cool thing about fixed indexed annuities again. They can guarantee you rates in retirement that beat the traditional 4% rule if it still worked. Which I don't think
Way
it does.
beats it. Can we talk about annuities for a minute?
Sure.
I know that we're kind of getting off topic here, but I just think it's important for people to understand there's good and there's bad in everything in life.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to annuities, there's good and there's bad. There's some ones out there that we stay away from because they just don't serve the purpose of our clients. We only want to use enough money in that green bucket into that fixed index annuity to make sure that you and your spouse never run out of money. We want you to keep money in the game.
That's right.
The red bucket is important. We got to have it to keep up with inflation and taxes and everything else. We got to have that growth bucket. But I see so many people, Bobby, out there, so many advisors out there that want to take all of a portfolio and put it into a fixed index annuity, and that's just not smart.
Yeah, I agree with that. And, why an advisor may do that, I hate to say it. They got to make the most money on those.
They get paid well.
They get paid well for that, but it really kind of makes you stuck, right? You're going to have guaranteed income for the rest of your life, but, when you want to take that trip or the air conditioner in the house breaks down, where are you going to get that extra money from?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're getting that one paycheck in that amount for the rest of your life, and you've got to make that work.
And how many times have we seen people come in here? Let's say they've got an annuity that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years old, and it's an income annuity. That's great,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't need income.
Yeah.
So they were sold the wrong product.
Yeah.
They wanted safety, but a lot of these advisors say, "Oh, look, I can get you 8.25% roll up guaranteed for life." Well, you can for income. But what if they don't need an income? Then you're kind of, okay, how do we get out of this contract now?
Mm-hmm. You might have surrender charges and all that. The cool thing about these annuities is that they come in all kinds of different flavors.
Right.
And if we're just talking about a fixed indexed annuity, right, they're great for income. We talked about that earlier. But there are some products that don't have an income rider on them. And that's okay if you don't want that.
You just want
So-
safety and growth.
Yeah, so why would you do that? We don't need an income, but man, I'm scared of the market. I don't like taking risk. Okay, great. I can guarantee you no market losses in that accumulation or growth fixed indexed annuity, and you can still get market-like returns.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you do that if you want to safe growth?
I just handed you a return. Just yesterday, I handed you a return to one of our clients. And check this out. What was 7.4? She made over 7%. Now that 7% is locked in.
Yes.
So it's not going backwards. Because
Yeah.
if the market goes down, she keeps the gains.
That's right. And if you're in the market and you have a knockout year and you make 20%, that's awesome. But then you lose 20 the next year.
Yeah,
and
that's no fun.
Most of it's gone.
That's no
right?
fun.
That's a bummer.
And I try to, I think a lot of gentlemen out there, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, maybe missell annuities a little bit, Bobby, and they promise these double-digit returns. You're not going to get that very often. You're going to get 6, 7, 8%. That's what we look at, right? 6, 7, 8% is what we try to. Our goal is anyway.
If you want double digits, to your point,
We gotta be in the market.
You're in the wrong place if you're in a fixed index annuity.
Yeah, but fixed income annuities, if you need an income, they're perfect. If you just want a little safety, they're perfect. But we're not going to ever put all that money into that green bucket because we got to have money in that red bucket, Bobby. And that's what you and Tillman Brogan work so hard on, is making sure that you line up those folks' risk capacity. Not risk tolerance. You guys work so hard on making sure that their risk capacity is set up properly in that red bucket of money.
Yeah, that's right. And with that red bucket of money, that's really, we have as deep of a conversation about that as the green bucket a lot of times.
100%.
Because that's where you take the risk. Do you need a certain amount of return over time to make your retirement plan work? That's one number. But if you don't need to take a lot of risk or you don't want to, your risk tolerance and your risk capacity, sometimes they don't match. Maybe you really want to be super risky like Bitcoin and whatever the newest fad is.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't take that much risk in your retirement portfolio because if that turns sideways and goes down, you may cut your paychecks.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
So we need to make sure that those two things match, and that's a really deep conversation.
And can we finish this up with, again, going back to our bucket system? Because I think when people come in and talk with us, Bobby, we use two different formats. The bucket system, people love it, and our income lab. When people see that, you're not throwing a bunch of graphs and pie charts and all this stuff at them. You're like, hey, let's keep this simple. Here's how we do it. How comforting is that for folks going into retirement?
Yeah, it's vital, and it really takes something that can be complicated, and you want an advisor that can get into the weeds and make sure all the technical things are taken care of. But we need to be able to present it in a way that people can understand. Because if they don't understand the plan, even if it's a good plan, they don't have any comfort there. And that's really what we try to do with everybody that walks through our door is provide them with that comfort. So the buckets, let's make sure we're using the buckets in an appropriate manner. You have the amount, each one of those buckets you need. I feel kind of bad for the yellow bucket, Gary. We hadn't talked about that.
It's kind of boring.
One. It is boring. It's bank money, but it's important, right? And so everybody has to have 3 buckets.
Yep.
How much water you have in each bucket is going to be different depending on your plan and your situation. But then we can take all those moving parts, all the pieces, and put them in our income lab planning software, and we can see exactly where your money's coming from, how much it's going to grow. If you want to throw in a travel budget for your go-go years, we do that often. We just work really hard to put a plan together and make that easy to understand so you can live every day like a Saturday.
I mean, the bottom line here, folks, is retirement is not just about numbers. It's about creating a life you love with purpose, with clarity, with confidence, with that peace of mind, if you will. And that's what we focus on here at Guardian Investment Advisors. I would absolutely love the opportunity for you to come in, have a conversation with Bobby, with Tim, with Brogan, with myself, with Tanner. Let's make sure we get this plan set up for you. Income planning, healthcare planning, Medicare planning, Social Security optimization. These are all things that we'll help you with. We'll hold your hand through the process. And yes, we'll show you that bucket system and the income lab, because once you see those two things, it's going to make a lot of sense to you. That way you're not so stressed out. I'd like to invite you again to go to GIAquiz.com, GIAquiz.com, take the quiz, then come in and have a conversation with us. Again, GIAquiz.com. Bobby, good job, brother.
That was a fun one. I appreciate that.
Always fun to be with you, man.
You too.
Guys, we'll be back next week with another episode of Plan Today on Tomorrow. Take care.